proven in Major League Baseballs. It seems like these guys from Japan don't usually tend to work out, but definitely did with Darvish. There's been a couple Dice K, but struggled with injuries. So it's a tough call. I mean, I would much rather see him go after Chris Archer, especially now that AJ Griffin went out of the game with an injury today. So there's just so many questions, and although the starting pitching has been very good, I think the focus is definitely on the bullpen.
Yeah, and you've been talking about this Chris Archer for a good minute, so they definitely need to look at this guy at the trade deadline. They definitely need to look at him as a potential starter to come in, because with Hamels out for however long he's going to be out, with AJ Griffin, man, he's been 4-1 this year so far, which unfortunately that just seems to be his MO. He plays well at a certain period of time. He does well in the first half of the season, and then he gets hurt. And to me, that's the part that makes me nervous about him, because he does pitch well when he pitches, but when he gets hurt, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't see the injury, but I know it wasn't good because it was after giving up a grand slam, and that just is probably a strain of some sorts. But it's just really it's unfortunate just because Hamels is out, so who is going to step up? I mean, Nick Martinez showed that he is not going to be the guy. Perez, he's there in some games, he's not there other games. I mean, it's really going to be tough, man. Someone is really going to have to step up, and I just don't know if JD will make a trade, man. I mean, the old JD, he would just do it. He would just go with his gut instinct and do it. But this newer version of JD just doesn't seem to, be interested in doing that, making a move. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that with the money situation, I think that's been a big thing, that they've been watching how much money they're going to spend, and I think that's been a factor throughout this whole season. As much as we want to see him go out and get someone, I think that's the reason why we're not seeing all these huge signings. It's because I think the ownership is more concerned about how much money they're going to spend and their value out of the players that they have, which that's been talked about quite a bit on 105.3 The Fan here in Dallas. I didn't believe it at first, but now I'm starting to think like, he may be strapped. He may be strapped on how much money he can really spend. So I think that could be a factor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that has to be it, because the JD that we've so grown to know, would just be willing to, make the trade if he believes that it gives the team a chance of winning now, in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, he would take it. He would take the deal and he would run with it. Definitely. All right. Reggie Lawrence says, BS3, I'm going to be honest, the only way you guys will catch the Astros is if their pitchers get hurt. The Astros rotation, and they can hit and they can play D, and if they can get far ahead of Texas, it's a wrap. You do have a great legitimate point. Dallas Keuchel was pitching very well. I believe he got hurt, or they're doing some type of, I think, X-ray or something on him. And he also said you guys are forgetting about the Angels, who are red hot. The Astros point, I agree. They're playing well, but I think the Astros and the Angels are eventually going to just fall out. I think they're eventually going to fall out of the rankings. I think they're eventually going to have some struggles, and we see it. We see it a lot of years with both of these teams. Last year, the Astros started off great, and they end up dipping. And that the Angels were the same way. So that would be my response to that. But I think, our pitching has to improve, or else it's going to be hard.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at the end of the day, I still think that the Rangers are the best team in the division, hands down. I just think injuries and a couple things, the Dyson. It's really, man. You take Dyson out of the things. You get those 6 or 7, but we'll do 5 wins just to make it seem non-biased. But I mean, you put those 5 wins back, and you're right there with the Astros, neck and neck. So, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt, in my mind at least, that the Rangers are still the best team in this division, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the talent, with the amount of talent that we have, I think also with the way Yu Darvish is pitching, wait until Cole Hamels comes back. I think, Ross, Tyson Ross, if he is anything what we have seen and what we're reading and hearing about, then it's really, that's going to be a huge part of this year, I think. And a lot of it is going to ride on on Ross, also on Cashner. A lot of people have been saying Cashner's been pitching well, but honestly, I don't know if I see it. I mean, I think he's not getting run support, which you may call that. That may be an issue, but I don't know if he is. I don't know if he is what we expected him to be, and I think that's going to be another kind of factor throughout the rest of the season. Still there? All right, so let's get into our Cowboys talk here. Like I mentioned earlier, we got Zeke, who still has this case pending against him, which again I don't understand because it's already been clear that he doesn't have any issues. But obviously, it has to be because he has been linked to so many issues this offseason that the NFL is just being proactive and trying to make sure that if anything does come up, they'll have a case on him. And we're talking about Zeke. And Reggie says, man, something is up with Zeke. I don't think anything is up with him. I just think he's made so many small mistakes that the NFL doesn't want to let anything go. They want to keep an open file. Basically, they're keeping an open file on Zeke to make sure whenever you slip up, whenever the moment that you accidentally do anything to anybody, it's a wrap for you. And I think that's what the NFL's focus is right now. You agree?
Yeah, I do. I think that he really, really has to be careful with everything he does, and especially in this generation. Phones are always out. The cameras are always out. All eyes are going to be on you. You're a young kid playing for America's team. And really, I don't want to say that you can't go out there and live your life. But in reality, you have to modify almost every single thing that you're doing. And that's just the way that it is, man. It might not be fair, but, that's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you just look at the list of things that have happened since he came to the Cowboys, yes, they are small, but I think, and I hope I'm wrong in saying this, but small things lead to big things. You had him at the weed shop. I mean, this was like, I don't know, the preseason or week 1, 2, or 3, something like that. You had the issue with him pulling out the breasts of the lady at the parade. You had that didn't turn into anything, and you still have this case for some reason over his head, and then he got into a car accident, which this isn't his fault, but he got into a car accident, so he's just got so much going on. I hope he can just settle down and get back into football season mode where you know the target's going to be on your back. You know you're a Cowboy, so chill out and just come back to reality that you got to be careful in everything you do.
Yeah, and hopefully he takes. I know there's a lot of people in there giving advice, but at the end of the day, he controls what he does. And I think a lot of people were worried about the car crash just because it's like the second or third one he's been in the last couple of years. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it's just not a good look. I'm not saying you can control those things either, but people just, start putting 1 + 1 in their own head and, thinking, what's going on? What is this guy doing? Is he just, driving recklessly in his nice cars? I think it puts a lot of thoughts into people's heads. And then, I'm not saying you can control it. I don't think the second one was his fault at all. But it just really sucks because when you're so young playing on America's team, like I said, everything that happens is going to come back to you no matter what. And that's how it is in sports, especially in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. Mocha Bella says his father said when he got drafted he was young and immature. He did say that, and this is Zeke's father we're talking about. He did say that. Also, there was issues with him at Ohio State, so he doesn't have a squeaky clean record. I think that's very clear, but I do think he's gonna get past this, and I think he's really not gonna have a choice because the NFL is cracking down on all these type of issues. The NFL is not they're not we're gonna let stuff slide anymore. They're going after anybody and everybody, and if you're a Cowboy, they're going to go after you even more because you have everything that you do is in the limelight. So he's just got to watch himself. He's got to watch himself. He's got to be smart. He's got to keep a level head. Let's move on to another player that was in the news this week. David Irving reportedly going to miss 4 games for a failed drug test. I've been seeing mixed reviews, mixed stories on this. Part of it was saying that he was selling something or he was taking something that was on the list. It was something to help him, get back from injury. I don't know the complete story, but I do know we cannot have him suspended. So I don't know if he's going to end up missing these 4 games. He's going to miss half of these games. But we can't have this on the defensive line. We already have so many issues as it is.
It's just always something, isn't it? It really is. It seems like every day you almost wake up and see someone on the Cowboys defensive line trending on Twitter. It makes no sense. I think all this could have been avoided if he just talked to a nutritionist, the team nutritionist. It really baffles me, Ben, because I don't understand that these things should not be happening. As long as he was not selling anything or distributing anything, this should not have happened. This could have been avoided very easily. And now, in all likelihood, it's going to end up being a suspension. We have seen these things overturned a couple times, but it's not good. It's not good. It's just not good to be in the news.
Yeah. Dollar says, not sure Dallas got better this last season, unlike the Giants and other teams in the division in the NFC. Seems like the Dallas just stayed status quo. Am I wrong? And he's asking the question, is he wrong? I think it's going to tell on all of these draft picks. That's what it's going to come down to. If these draft picks don't amount to anything, then yes, we reverted backwards. But I think with Ryan Switzer, I think also with the kids that we got, Taco Carlton, I think he's going to come in and play well. The other kid, Cheeto, I can't remember his name, but him at corner. Is Nolan Carroll going to be remotely good? I think he'll be even or a little bit better than Brandon Carr, but time is gonna tell with these rookies, and I think that's what it's gonna come down to. What's your answer to that question?
I'm gonna agree with him for now, just because I see where he's coming from. Because my goodness, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles with everything in me, but you look at what these guys have quietly done. Adding Alshon Jeffrey, adding LeGarrette Blount. I know adding another wide receiver I can't think of right now. You look at the Giants adding more defense to that already good defense the Cowboys just can't seem to beat. Adding Brandon Marshall. next to Odell Beckham. I mean, I've always liked Brandon Marshall. I don't think he has a locker room problem.